Hello and welcome to Hessens County. I'm glad that you could join us again today for another TTRPG talk. This video series discusses tabletop role-playing games, related materials, world-building suggestions, and game design. Today, we will be taking a second of two deep dives into a relatively new Kickstarter, Stoneburner. In this second video, we will talk about how Stoneburner has modified Breathless' system for items and also added a settlement system to create a form of customizable party advancement. If you have not watched the first video, I definitely recommend you check it out, along with the Breathless SRD video that we created, which discusses some of the basics of the Breathless system itself. As we mentioned in our previous video, items have a value of polyhedral die assigned to them that you will roll whenever you are using the item to complete an action. Just like skills, these also drop or degrade in value as they are used. More common items can break down, become used up, or become lost whenever they are worn out. But they can also be replaced as the player utilizes the loot mechanic that has always existed in Breathless games from the very beginning. However, Stonebreaker adds several new elements to this sort of looter-shooter formula. First is the existence of artifacts and heirlooms. These items do not break or wear down, but instead they are refreshed or reset after a long period of rest, and some of them can also have special magical powers, which is something unique to Stoneburner. Another element that has been added into Stoneburner is projects. These are long-term efforts to try to create an item. Each project starts off being assigned a D4. Whenever an opportunity comes up in the fiction for our character to work on this project, then you can increase the quality of the supplies and the know-how that you have accumulated in order to create the item. This is represented by increasing the project die by a step. When the player feels that the project is fully prepared, then they roll the project die in order to try to finish the item. This could end up with an item that is equal to, one step above, or one step below the project die's value. Here's a practical example for you. Let's say that my character, Ulfnir Stonecoat, has been gathering equipment in order to create like a special type of wire launcher adapter for their standard carry shotgun. So far, they have advanced their project to a D8. But I have decided that it is now time to complete the project. If I roll a 7 using that D8 to complete the project, then Ulfnir could end up creating a D10 wire launcher for their shotgun. But if instead I rolled a 2, then I did not succeed in creating a high-quality item. Something must have gone wrong during this process, and instead I end up with a D6 wire launcher instead. The final element introduced into Stoneburner that we'll discuss today related to items is the use of an item market. Whenever you want to sell an unused item, then you will simply roll the die assigned to that item and then get a value in credits based on the chart like the one that you see here on the page. This allows the player to reflect the general quality of the item in question determined by the die being used, in addition to the demand for it or the circumstances of its physical condition as determined by the roll result. For example, if I were excavating in the mines and I found a D6 item while I was looting, then I could potentially get anywhere between 50 and 150 credits back for it based on the chart that you see on the page here in the preview, depending upon what I rolled, which could determine, like, let's say if this was a, communication device, right? If I ended up rolling a 5 or a 6, then maybe it's a pretty nice quality one. It has a decent range. It's in good condition. If I end up rolling just 50 credits, then it's probably beat up, not very good, only communicates with certain other communication devices, or does something else weird like that suggests it's not very good quality. Now the question comes up, why would you want to sell items? Well, that's where the settlement system comes in. Now, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that you can see here in our preview because a significant portion of this is redacted from the original sort of alpha build that I have been able to take a look at. But I can tell you that it is pretty well developed. Aside from being a physical demonstration of your restoration efforts and increasing prosperity in your attempts to, restore the glory of your house, as we discussed previously, the settlement provides buildings which you can buy to unlock abilities like improving looting or crafting results, unlocking a second heirloom for your kit, or improving healing abilities. Just one example that you can see on the page next to me here, just the tavern there. It says it will give you a single reroll per session for anyone at the table to use whenever they are failing a check. Basically harkening back to old stories that they heard while they were at the tavern, or advice that they got from old salts who happened to return to the settlement, and, potentially drawing on that as a example of something that they could use to help inspire them, or taking advantage of the advice when it comes to figuring out a better way to do this role. Whenever you are adding a building, it is also generally suggested that you go through a list of questions, which really helps kind of build out the settlement and the idea behind it, and like the economy, the people who live there, and stuff like that. So, for example, some questions you might want to answer would be, who's responsible for running this building? Did you appoint somebody to do it? Is this built by somebody already in the community? Is it operated by volunteers, or is it actually like owned by someone? How do other people in the settlement react to the construction of this building? If I'm building a library, are people happy about that? Are some people upset because I built a library instead of something else? These are all different things that might be of consideration when you're taking a look at things you're adding to your settlement. The settlement also provides opportunities for storytelling. In addition to the questions I just mentioned, we also have the idea that the settlement is, of course, your hub. This is the place where you're exploring and attempting to eradicate the demons from the mines. So this is a place where you're coming out of, right? But also building it up and protecting this settlement is one of your character's key objectives, because again, you're attempting to restore the glory of your former house, and you need this settlement not only to be your home, right, but also to be it's your primary connection with the rest of the galaxy, essentially. I find that the settlement system, honestly, is probably one of the biggest additions to the arsenal that Breathless brings to games that you can find in Stoneburner, and I truly look forward to playing around with it once I get a chance to really dig deep into the full version of the game once it releases. And that pretty much covers the rest of the major parts that we wanted to highlight in Stoneburner. There is more, because we do have the basic way in which expeditions work. However, I will leave that for other people to explore, and potentially maybe for maybe an actual play at some point in the future. But for now, I will leave this off here because it's really difficult to honestly explain exactly how this works without diving into bits of the alpha that people who only have access to the preview unfortunately can't see. So, thank you all for joining us again today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future coverage of Stoneburner or any other games or items we might cover on the channel. Links to everything, of course, that was discussed today, including the Kickstarter page in the itch preview, can be found in the linked down below, so don't forget to check the description. Now, go build your settlement, rate your itch purchases, and have a good zone. If you would like to show your support for this channel or for the Hessens County blog, in the description down below you will find links to the channel coffee and also the itch store. Please feel free to take a look, and thank you for your support.